much time do we have left? Okay. We'll continue all this next week. Don't forget to do your own reading on this before class. I know this isn't an easy topic to understand at first glance, so give yourself as much time as you can to study up on it. And please, don't just ask ChatGPT to do the math for you. I know some of you are, but trust me, it's going to be easier in the long run if you just sit down and learn it yourself. Plus, all of this is going to be on the test and you can't use ChatGPT there. Understand? Good. Now get out. Hey, I need you to stay behind for a bit. There's something we need to talk about. So how are things? I'm just curious. How are things at home? Not too bad. That's good. Relationship doing okay? Friends? Well, I wanted to hold you back today to check in on you, which you may say isn't appropriate in that I'm sticking my nose into business I have no place sticking it. But one of the many reasons I wanted to get into teaching is to help people succeed academically. When I see someone that isn't succeeding, then I want to know why and if there's anything I can do to help it. Yeah, your last few assignments, well, for one, you've been missing a ton of extra stuff on Dartboard, forum posts, extra credit, things like that. Your last essay was weak. It didn't really show me that you've learned anything this semester so far. There were some parts that made it seem like you haven't touched this class at all, when I know that's not true. I see you here every week. If you weren't participating at all, then I would understand the grades, but I see you here, taking notes, or at least I'm assuming you are. I was hoping that by talking to you a bit before next week, we could figure out what's happening and what to do next. There's a few things we can do, but if you don't feel as if you can do them, it might be better to just drop the class, because right now, if you continue down this path, then it's a guaranteed failure. You'll have to repeat it next semester. Judging by what we've talked about before, I don't think you want to do that, so we need to figure something out. Right now, you're looking at a D by the end of the semester. Doing what you're currently doing will get you up to, at most, a high D. I don't think I need to tell you that's not high enough to pass. With everything we have left to do, if you do it all and score well, then you can bump that up high enough to pass. I'm not trying to be tough. Quite the opposite, actually. Look, I get it. This class is really hard. When I was in school here, I took this exact class and I struggled. A lot. You're not alone in that. And honestly, I don't think anyone would blame you if you failed this semester and had to retake it. But I know you can do it. You're smart. You're way too smart to be struggling in here like this. Because I see the work you do. I talk to your other professors. They all say the same thing, that you're very smart and good at what you do. It's more a matter of you not doing what needs to be done. And again, I want to help because you clearly can do this. I'm serious, you can. Why do you think you can't do it? Sure, it's hard. But if you can't do it, then why did you do so well at the start? Yeah, it gets harder, but the early stuff compared to the previous classes were also hard. You still had a lot to learn, and it showed when you were putting in the work. So what changed? You could have come and told me if you felt like you didn't understand something. That's my job, to help you understand this topic. And my door is always open, which you should know by now. Do you know how many people come into my office to ask me questions? It's all day, every day. I barely get a moment of peace to answer emails or eat lunch. I've had people come to my car while I'm trying to be alone because their world is ending. One more person wouldn't make a difference. What would make a difference is us working together to figure out whatever needs to be done so that you can pass. If you don't know where to start, then let's start with this. What is it that you're struggling with the most? Everything is not an answer. We need to figure out the specifics of what you're struggling with so that we can, together, address them. Okay, that's better. Let's do this then. Pull up a chair. There's a book that I use as a reference when coming up with course material that I think you would really benefit from. Here. It's a book written by a French professor who I find very good at explaining complex topics. At first, it's going to be difficult to understand, but I have full faith that you'll be able to understand it. I want you to read the entire thing by next week because it's really going to help. In addition to that, I can offer you a redo on the previous assignment. I can't really do much about the weekly stuff you missed on the forum, but if you do all of them going forward and you do well, they're going to help you a lot. I understand it's overwhelming, but trust me, you can do this. Do you know who taught this class before me? There's a man named Alan B. Wickman. Assuming you've been paying attention, I'm sure you've heard his name several times because his work is referenced a lot. To say he was a pioneer is an understatement. When you're being taught by someone like this, especially when they're still fairly young and actively developing it, there is a certain expectation for the students. I failed this class 3 times. The same thing would happen every semester. We would start, it would be fairly easy, but there was a turning point about halfway through that something just stopped making sense, stopped clicking. And when that happens, it's very difficult to take a step back and figure out what's changed. In my case, it was because everything leading up to that point was set up to understand the fundamentals of the genuinely difficult parts. When you spend the first half learning fairly simple solutions to simple problems, when you encounter the first real problem, it's hard to determine how to scale the simple solutions to match the complex problems. What made it start to make sense is one day, I came up to him and told him I was going to drop the class. He told me I wasn't going to, that I was either going to pass or fail. After a brief discussion, we sat down, figured out the core problem, and he helped me sort it out over the next 2 weeks. I don't doubt for a second that you can do this. It's just going to take time, energy, and dedication on your part. It's overwhelming, and I want to help make it less overwhelming for you. That's what I'm here for. Okay? Okay. So how about between now and the end of this semester, you stay here after class and we can work on some of these problems. I won't give you the answer, but I can help you get there. I really did fail 3 times. Yeah. But to be fair, the overwhelming majority of his students failed. He was very smart, but that doesn't mean he was actually good at his job. Actually, I would even say that by today's standards, he was a bad educator. Well, what I really learned from failing 3 times is what people who are struggling really need is often just a tiny bit of help. It's not that they can't figure it out, they just don't know how. What I want you to do first is take that book and start reading. Okay? You can. Don't even entertain the idea of not being able to. You can. Now go read. What's wrong? Yes, you can. Where are you stuck? If you aren't stuck on anything, then what's the problem? Yeah, it's a lot, but you have time to get it back up. This is very doable. You just need to be willing to put in the work. No, There isn't any other option. Not unless you want to drop the class and pick it up next semester. Then if you can't or don't want to do that, then you need to put in the work while you still can. I never said it was going to be easy. It's not. You have to get almost perfect scores on everything to compensate, which I know you can do. I think you need to have more faith in yourself. I believe I have the right amount of faith in you. No, there is no other extra credit other than the extra credit listed on Dartboard. That would be cheating. I'm not going to play favorites and let you retake things no one else can. Well, beyond my own personal feelings about that, I would be risking my position here. And if you didn't already know, I quite like my job. Yes, I do. To me, this job is the most important thing in the world. I'm not going to help you cheat. It is cheating. Giving you an unfair advantage is cheating. Allowing you to do things no one else in the class can do is cheating. If you really want to pass this class so badly, then why aren't you putting in the work? Do you just not want to? I think you're very wrong that you can't do it. But at the same time, if all you're going to do is resist what I'm telling you to do to help you pass, then I'd encourage you to find some other solution or to just drop the class. Because as much as I would like to help you pass, I'm not going to waste my time on someone that doesn't want help. Sure, do whatever you want. If you want to cheat, go ahead. Just understand I won't turn a blind eye to it and you'd be risking passing. I'm sorry, you want to do what to me? You know what you're offering can not only make me lose my job, but get you expelled. It would be far, far worse than just failing. Oh, I can tell you're serious. I did say you could do whatever you want, but clearly you don't understand the limits of what you should and shouldn't do. And I'm going to need to make it very, very clear what is and isn't allowed.